All right. Thanks for taking your time out of your day, Faith, today. I'm really excited to talk to you about some of the marketing efforts and things that you're doing for Breakout, and yeah, just get a little bit about your story. So first off, can you just let me know kind of what you do, how you got started in Breakout?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am currently the brand operations manager for Breakout. So I focus mostly on marketing and also our guest experience. So just getting players to come in and then making sure that they have a fun time when they do. But I got started with Breakout almost 4 years ago. About 4 years ago, I had never played an escape room before, but one of my friends invited me to do it with her for her birthday. So we went and we played Runaway Train at Breakout Games, had a great time. And I remember thinking after that game, number one, I'm going to be addicted to this. I have to play every single one of these games. And then second, I thought that would be such a fun job to work here. So I was looking for a part-time job at that time, just a fun extra thing. And so I applied to Breakout the very next day after I played Runaway Train. And I've told my friend that did it for her birthday, if you hadn't ever done Breakout, I wouldn't have the career that I have today. I worked as a game master, the person running the games, for about 8 or 9 months. And then a marketing position opened with Breakout. And that was my other job at that time, was in marketing. And so I thought that would be perfect because I have the marketing experience and the escape room experience. So it just really worked out from there. And here we are almost 4 years later. So it's been a really fun and exciting journey.
That's awesome. So 4 years ago, how big was Breakout? Is it the same size as today? Has it grown a lot?
Yeah, it's about the same size. Breakout has been around for 10 years. We're actually celebrating our 10th anniversary this year, which is exciting, but it's about the same size as it was. We have 32 locations. So,
Wow, that's impressive.
mhm.
One of the things that I noticed is that you guys are pretty active on social media. It's not something that I typically see in escape rooms. And I think that's an area where escape rooms are still trying to figure out how to engage, but not give too much away. So can you talk a little bit about the way you start working on social media? What are you trying to gain there?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really proud at Breakout to have over 1.7 million followers total across all of our different platforms, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And we're really excited about that. I know in the past we didn't show a lot of our rooms. Like we tried to avoid showing people actually playing in the rooms. And our content was really promotion heavy, focusing on just trying to get people to come play our games. But we started to shift away from that a few years ago and started to focus more on giving people a little piece of what Breakout's like. So for some of our posts, we started posting riddles and memes and like funny questions and things like that to try to engage people and give them a little piece of Breakout. When you're scrolling on your feed, you suddenly come across a riddle and it's fun and shows people what escape rooms are like, but it also gets them to comment, which is great for the algorithm. And then we also started posting funny videos of people playing our games because it's not giving away clues, but it's just showing the funny reactions that they have and the funny things people say. Because if you've run escape rooms before, it's basically professional people watching, and you know that people say and do hilarious stuff in our room. So that's what we try to show in our videos. One of our most viral videos is a group of my friends, actually, and they started calling me a different name every time they asked for a clue. So they'd be like, "Hey, Queen, can we get a clue? Hey, God, it's me, Margaret. Can we get a clue?" And yeah, game masters know that they get called hilarious things all the time, like God and Overlord or whatever. So we just try to show the real funny moments that people have in our rooms, and that's kind of a good way to show what escape rooms are like without actually giving away a lot of hints.
I think it was funny. I did see one of your recent ones like that. That was a couple girls playing a room, and they were realizing at some point that they weren't going to make it out.
Yes.
Just started getting a little crazy. So
Yes.
I agree. Like one thing I think is interesting is I still run into people, and everybody I've talked to literally says this too, is like, I still run into people that have never played an escape room. You know, the people that I do talk to, they're like, I'm not sure I'd be good at it. Like, it doesn't seem like fun, or I feel claustrophobic, things like that. But I think some of those videos that you're posting just show it doesn't really matter if you win or lose. it just like the experience you have with your friends is really, really a fun time no matter what. So I think that's a great way to show off some of your capabilities without, like you said, spoiling some of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of our values at Breakout, that fun comes first. We want everyone to know that whether you escape or not, you're going to have a good time. And we also have a lot of content, especially on our blog, trying to directly address a lot of people's fears. Like, I won't be good at this, or, we won't solve anything. We're going to be stuck on the first clue, like things like that. We try to address that and just get people to get over their fears and come on in. Because once they do, we know they're going to have a great time.
Yeah. The other posts that you kind of talked about, which are like the kind of like puzzly type things, is that intentional in a way to get people thinking, I can solve this, or it's sort of like it's a gateway into finding those people who are interested in kind of like puzzling a little bit. Is that what you find?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to shout out Monica and Alex too, who are two of our general managers who work with me on our social media. So shout out to them. But Monica especially works really hard on those puzzles, and I think we try to vary them up in terms of how challenging they are. But I think it does get people to realize, oh, I can do this, I can solve this, and it also is a great way to engage a lot of our followers who might have played all our rooms, but we still want them to engage with us. And for those people, they usually really like a challenge, and sometimes they'll post this isn't hard enough. So we try to have some harder posts for them. But yeah, I think one thing about social media with escape rooms, unfortunately, it's not usually anyway a repeatable experience. So you do eventually have people who have played all of your games and you're kind of waiting to get a new game. So you want to remind them that you still exist and you still care about them, and get them to still engage with your brand as they're waiting for new rooms to drop.
That's a great point. Yeah, I think I have heard from other people as well that that's a challenge once they've run through the games. Like, is the customer lost? Is it, how do you keep engaging them? So I think that's a great way to at least keep them involved with your brand. With you, so you have 32 locations. Are all locations like hosting similar games, or is it a variety across all the different locations?
Yeah, it definitely varies per location. Some of our locations are bigger than others. They just have more space for more rooms. But yeah, it just kind of depends on the location. There are some rooms that are so popular, we try to get them everywhere. Like kidnapping, that's our original game. We want that to be at every location possible. But it just kind of depends on the capability of the location. But we do have some people who kind of hop around and travel to different locations to try to play all of our games as well.
Yeah. Are so for the kidnapping one, I guess, or any of the ones, if you have a location that's much bigger, does that game still sort of functionally take up the same space, or in some ways are you configuring things differently so it plays a little bit differently? Or is it just like
Yeah.
this is our blueprint and we just drop it in?
Yeah, that definitely depends because some of our rooms are physically larger. Like some locations might just not be able to get a certain room because they don't have that much space. But we try to work as best with the space that we have and put as many rooms there as possible. Most our rooms do vary in size a little bit depending on the location, but we do try to stick to the blueprint of this is how this game's going to go based on the location it's at.
Okay. So we've kind of talked about social media. Is that really the only marketing initiatives that you guys run? Do you have other email campaigns or other like advertising that you do?
Yeah, for sure. We have an email list of, I think, over 2 million subscribers, and we're also starting to grow a text message list. And that's another great way that we can still engage with lots of different people who have played our games and try to encourage people who haven't played them all yet to come back in and play a new one, and then still trying to engage our uh, people who have played everything. Email is a great way to include those people, especially getting excited about new rooms coming out because they are waiting. Like they are waiting for that email of we have a new room at this location. So we kind of try to treat them as our VIPs in a way of letting them know before everybody else that something big is going to come up. And then we'll start to post it on social and other channels. But we also run ads, especially on social media, but on other platforms as well. And influencer partnerships have been a big thing for us in the past couple of years, really focusing on influencers who focus on promoting local experiences in a certain area. So things to do in this city kind of accounts has
Gotcha.
been effective for us. So
Okay, that's interesting. I like the idea of like the VIP list. You've got people who get notified first. Um, what and you talked about those new rooms that you have, because every once in a while you are going to have a new one. So how do you build that hype? How do you get people to, besides prior experience, are you dropping little like hints about the theme, or like how do you approach that?
Yeah, a really fun thing we've done for the past brand new themes that have come to Breakout as a whole. We've posted some kind of memes that are like out of context hints for our next room. Like for Wild West a couple years ago, we made memes about like Barbie cowboys and like things like just really silly things like that. But it got people to comment and get excited that a new room was coming. We had people guess all kinds of wild themes for that. So that was really fun. So we do lean into the hint factor that is naturally built into escape rooms to try to build that excitement amongst guests. But once we get a new room, yeah, we kind of target our core people first and then work outwards. So we go onto social media and then we would get influencers and traditional media to come play. The nice thing about escape rooms when working with influencers and media is that it's such a fun thing that they're usually really happy to come do it. Like they want to come do it anyway. So that makes it pretty easy for them to post about it with a lot of genuine enthusiasm.
Do you have, for your rooms, a lot of escape rooms have policies where you kind of leave your phone at the door, all those kinds of things. Do you also have policies that are like that?
Yeah, we make an exception for influencers who are filming their experience because we can work with them and approve what they're going to post before just to make sure no major hints are given away. We have started letting people take a photo with their escape time in the room instead of outside of it because we used to do it just on a blank wall that said breakout in whatever city it was in. But now we kind of have people get creative with the pose that they want to do in a certain part of the room. So that's made it at least a little bit more fun for people who want to post a photo about their experience, but we do try to limit how much people are actually filming or taking photos while they're playing the game.
So you talked about people posting things. Do you have like any sort of follow-ups about like, either being tagged or reviews or things like that as it comes to people who have come through your room, and you're looking out for spoilers or looking out for those kinds of things? How do you follow up with guests after they've come?
Yeah, we push reviews really, really hard. We have almost 300,000 five-star reviews in our 10 years, which is really exciting. But that is something that we've pushed at the store level. Game masters ask for reviews after every single game. That's just part of their routine and our policy with them. So most people, they've had a great time and they're happy to leave a five-star review. So occasionally we've gotten hints given away in the review, but it doesn't happen often at all. And if it does, we can either reach out to that guest or report it to the review site and it's most people don't even see it. So it's not a huge deal. But reviews really help us. That word of mouth factor is really important. People are always going to believe real people over, the advertiser itself kind of thing. And we just really want people to have a great time so that they tell their friends who tell their friends who tell their friends. And word of mouth is we have that question in our waiver of how did you hear about us? And that's always the biggest way that people learn about us.
Are there specific platforms that you use for reviews, or doesn't matter? Or
We have focused really hard on Google reviews, especially because businesses that get a lot of great reviews, Google's gonna do some magic with our ranking and everything on there. But we also have Yelp and TripAdvisor and Apple. We kind of try to monitor all of those, but Google is definitely what we push the hardest.
from the escape room community, Morty is obviously a big player in that system. Are you engaging with people there, or is it more just making sure that your website and booking and all that kind of stuff works on that platform?
Yeah, we've worked with Morty a little bit in the past couple of years. That's been really great. We also work with World of Escapes. So we try to make sure that our listings are up to date on those things so that people know about us, especially in the escape room community. But we it's important for us to, I think the escape room hardcore people are awesome, but a lot of people don't play escape rooms that often, either
Mm.
because they just like they kind of treat it as more of a special occasion kind of thing. They're not as die hard. And so we try to focus on those people as well. I think if you only target hardcore fans, you're actually missing a lot of your market who are going to come in for more special occasions. And that is one hard thing about marketing escape rooms, that people do treat it as a special occasion. So they're not going to come as often. So that's why it's important to have those built-in systems where you can still engage people as much as possible.
What does it look like for, I guess, what's the flow of someone who's coming to you to play a game? Are they typically calling in? Are they doing the booking online? Like, how do you want them coming through your website or connecting with you?
Yeah, it's mostly online bookings. We do get phone calls as well. And some stores, it really depends on the location, but some stores are a little bit more walk-in heavy. It depends on if they're in a downtown area, or we have a few locations that are in malls. So some people are just literally walking by and walking in to play an escape room right then and there. So we try to have as much availability as we can for all of those types of bookings.
So for that walk-in crowd, what is like when someone's walking by your store, what does that lobby experience look like? Is it themed up for escape rooms in general? Is it for a specific room? Like what draws people into your locations typically?
Yeah, we've actually started working more on our lobbies this year because we want that to be part of the whole experience and not just an isolated kind of waiting room. So we are working to update all of our lobbies. A few of them have gotten updated so far with this new portal. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's like a big screen that looks like a portal, like you're entering another world, because our tagline is escape ordinary. So we want them to feel like they're coming out of the regular world into a different kind of world. So that's been fun. But in all of our lobbies, we try to engage people as they're waiting. So we have videos playing that have riddles and things like that, little warm ups for them to get ready for their experience. And we also just kind of post our, um, not rules, but what we do and don't want people to do in their experience so that they're just kind of getting ready beforehand. So we are definitely working on that more because, again, we want that to be more inclusive, the whole building to be part of the experience and not just the room itself.
Yeah, and I imagine from a staff perspective, having that kind of engaging position or front office really
Mhm.
helps them kind of be in that zone all the time. Do you find that like the environment that they're working, like how does that environment that they're working in really impact your staff in general?
Yeah, I know, of course, that I'm very biased, but I think we have the best game masters ever at Breakout. But it's because we trained them really well to focus on the guest experience. What we prioritize is, again, fun coming first. And it's really not just about the room. People aren't there for the room, they're there for the fun time that they're going to have. They're there for the memories that they're going to create with their family and friends. And so we want the game master to take an active role in that. So even the way that we give clues, I think, is different than some other escape rooms. We try to teach them to kind of feel like they're playing the room with them instead of like, you should do this. We might want to think about this, like that. It's subtle differences in language, but it really makes a strong impression on our guests. And the game master, too, can save an experience if the room, I mean, things happen sometimes, of course, where rooms aren't working the way they're supposed to. And a game master can really step in and make the guests not even realize that something went wrong. So our game masters do a great job with that, of just helping them have a fun experience no matter what.
How long does it take for you to get a new game master onboarded to the team? Like, given that you have so many different kinds of rooms and locations, like how do you imbue your culture on those new employees?
Yeah, it depends on the location a little bit. Some of them train a little bit differently, but what's in common is that game masters, when they're learning a new game, they always play that game first, because we want them to experience it just like guests would. And I think that helps them really understand how the room works. And they had a fun time playing it just like the guests did, so they kind of know what the guests are feeling. I think sometimes too that if you're running an escape room, sometimes you kind of can get a little separated from the guest experience because you know what the answer is to the question. So it helps to put yourself in their shoes for sure. But we usually have them watch a few games and then co-run a game with another person, and then they're ready to run that game on their own. And it kind of depends on the game master a little bit. We have some who are a little bit more seasonal or more part. I mean, all of them are part time, but more part time than others. Some of them want to be there all the time and are anxious to learn more games. So we try to just be really flexible and work with the game masters on their schedule and timeline. I think it is a job where it's kind of what you make it. You can get more hours and get more rooms under your belt if you want to. But it's definitely, I mean, it's the best part-time job I've ever had. It's so much fun. So I think our game masters have a really great culture of just helping each other out, and they enjoy being there. And again, professional people watching, it doesn't get much better than that.
So, like obviously the themes across your room are different. So when you're training or onboarding a staff to a new room, if you have one that's, the kidnapping one, there's obviously a different kind of tone that a game master is going to have for that particular room versus a different one. Is that like do you guys, I know it's not a test, but do you guys really ensure that they understand kind of the feeling of the room, like all that? Is that part of the training, or is it just, again, like you said, what they bring to the room?
Yeah, I think the vibe is definitely different for different types of rooms. And that's why having them watch a few games and then co-run it with someone else, I think helps them pick up on that because they also see the types of players who enjoy that game. Because all of our rooms are pretty family friendly and open to lots of different types of people. I've handcuffed many children and kidnapping, like they still like it. It's not that scary. But I think that they can see the difference of, oh, this room is really great for kids, or this room is great for coworkers for different reasons. So they just kind of pick up on that through watching the types of people who enjoy that room the most.
Would you say your audience is just really broad across the board, where some of it's family, some of it's corporate events, things like that? Or do you really lean in one direction more than the others?
I think it is pretty broad for us. We definitely have a diverse audience of family and friends. We do have a pretty big team building corporate sales program as well. Celebrations, people coming in for birthday parties, but also other special events. We've actually had a lot of proposals, marriage proposals at every single one of our locations, which is really special. Yeah, it means we don't take it lightly that people choose to celebrate really big moments with us, whether it's a proposal or a birthday or a graduation party, bachelorette party, all kinds of things. So that's been really fun. But yeah, I think we're very lucky to have a really wide audience. And we enjoy that, the diversity of our guests a lot.
That's awesome. I have heard some stories from other folks that sometimes those party situations can get a little bit more rowdy, as depending on the kind of group that's coming in. I can see that being a challenge. How do you train your staff to adapt to those difficult situations? Obviously, what I've seen in my experience at escape rooms is a lot of the game masters are younger. They may not have a lot of working experience, and some of those situations could probably get out of hand pretty quickly.
Mhm.
What, how are you, empowering those staff members to make sure that they're keeping everybody safe?
Yeah, for sure. Most of our game masters are younger. They're in college a lot of the time. And for some of them, it's kind of their first job, which is a great experience. And I think escape rooms teach you a lot about just working with people and life skills. But I think our managers, we really make sure that they know that they're usually older, but they like working with younger people. And they kind of take on that coach and mentor role, teaching our younger staff. So I think that they do a great job with that of just equipping them. And we always make sure that we have a manager or assistant manager on duty who can step in if the game master is uncomfortable in any situation.
Yeah. And I imagine, again, having so many different rooms, all that kind of stuff, you have things that break every once in a while, like someone yanks a painting off the wall or whatever as it happens. Are your staff members on site really trained to kind of fix a lot of the things? Or is that like, do you have a repair team that comes in and kind of makes sure things are all in working order?
Yeah, we do both. We have a really great support team that's available to help our teams in those situations, but we also try to equip our managers and our system managers and game masters to know how to fix a lot of things on the fly. So I think that everyone does a good job with that.
You talked a little bit about feedback and reviews that you get from everybody, but how about that staff interaction where, there's a team playing in the room and they get kind of stuck? How are they providing hints? Like, do you guys have limits on hints, or how do you guys deal with hints in your environment?
Yeah, for us, we offer unlimited hints without penalty. So that allows guests to ask for as many or few as they want. So for our difficulty, we don't rank rooms by difficulty. We kind of say it's up to you to make it more or less difficult by the numbers of hints that you ask. I think that also helps our rooms be a little bit more open to younger kids because they can ask for more hints without still being given a direct answer. So that definitely helps. And then we have more diehard people who are like, no hints, and then we don't give it to them. So it just kind of depends on the situation. But I think the customizable hints, I think, are really nice.
Yeah, I've definitely seen both of those kinds of groups go through. From from your staff's perspective, obviously, like you said, professional people watching, you see lots of different activities. How does that help you to modify your games? Like, let's say you find that people are getting stuck on one puzzle or something like that. With that feedback loop that you have from them, are you asking questions like, what did you find most frustrating, or what was your most exciting thing to help you not only fix and modify current builds, but plan for future builds?
Yeah, yeah. I think we definitely learned that from our staff. And when we develop new rooms, we do a lot of testing before it ever goes into the public so we can kind of see what the sweet spot is for how to make things challenging enough, but also not like way too hard that no one can solve it. So that really is a fine line and so subjective because you'll have a clue that you think is so hard and then you have some random person who solves it in less than 2 seconds and you're like, how did that happen? So it is subjective and it's kind of hard, but I think over the 13 plus games that we've made, we've learned that over time.
With people who are coming back, this will touch back on a point you made earlier. With people who play a room and they seem to have fun, all that kind of stuff, what tactics or strategies are you working through to get those people to come back and play other rooms that you have? Do you offer discounts, or do you offer same day replays, or things like that? Like, what kind of things do you do there?
Yeah, we do a lot of in-store targeting for that because we found that people are really excited after they've just had a great experience, and that's kind of when they're most ready sometimes to do another experience. So we do offer some same-day replay discounts depending on availability. And we push gift cards pretty hard because people like gifting an experience. People don't always want more stuff. They want experiences. So we try to offer that. And especially around times of the year where people are buying gifts like Mother's Day, Father's Day, the holidays, around Cyber Monday, Christmas, things like that. We try to push selling gift cards pretty hard.
Is that sort of part built into your booking system? Does it send out emails, or is it more of a physical gift card?
Yeah, we people can buy a gift card in store, like a physical one, or they can use it online. So either way.
Do you guys also sell like merchandise in the store?
Yeah, that's something we've worked on a lot this year too. But we have T-shirts for our rooms now, and I think that's been really fun to have not only just generic breakout shirts, but customizable kind of collectible ones for the rooms themselves. I think people have enjoyed that.
So you have been a game master, but you're now in more of a high level job overseeing a lot of the locations and the marketing in general. What have you taken from that experience of being a game master, and what have you used in what you're marketing today, like how you're doing all that?
Yeah, I think my experience directly as a game master was huge for me because It's especially for creating social media and other types of content. I really don't think I'd be able to do that well without having been a game master. For our blog and things like that, writing escape room tips and answering people's FAQ questions. I knew that directly from working in the store. And also just the funny moments that people do in escape rooms. Again, I've seen that firsthand as a game master. So that's how I know how to create those types of content. So it's been big for me. And for a lot of people, we are really big on internal upward promotion at Breakout. So most of our corporate staff have worked at the store level. So I think that that really helps us stay grounded and connected to what's actually happening at our stores.
And do you find that your leadership team in general is they've come from certain locations specifically, or is it just across the board?
Yeah, it depends. We do, just because we're located in Lexington, a lot of people have come out of our Lexington store, but our brand presidents now were over our Asheville and Knoxville and Chattanooga stores. So they have been with Breakout since the beginning. So they really understand too how our stores work, and it helps them make decisions.
From from a brand perspective, are you managing really social media across all the locations or focusing on specific locations that you're already connected to?
Yeah, so for the most part, we have our brand accounts that we have individual Facebook store pages, but that brand account kind of trickles down to those other pages. We've had different stores create different social media accounts throughout the years, but now it's mostly our Breakout brand account because we just want everything to be consistent. So,
Yeah, I could definitely see. I have seen other escape rooms that have multiple locations, maybe not as many as you, but especially as they're scaling up, each location has a location kind of a vibe to it. And so they end up splitting off a lot of those social media accounts. But I think to your point, like it sort of lacks that consistency across all of them. Is I guess how important is that consistency in the experience across all the locations for, management for you guys?
yeah, it definitely is a balance because each location is unique, but it's all part of the whole under Breakout. So I think some of our local advertising efforts are going to be different depending on where we are. Like Gatlinburg and Asheville, they're so grounded in the tourism of their stores. So we do a lot of local tourism marketing for them. Again, some of our stores are in malls, so they have a little bit different considerations for how they operate because of that. Some stores are located around other businesses, kind of more corporate areas. So team building is really big for those stores. So every store does have its differences, but I think the main thing we want to keep consistent is the experience that guests have with Breakout so that they can play any game anywhere and still have the same core fun experience. So I think social media is part of that. Guest experience is not just when they walk in the door, it's every interaction that they have with our brand. So we try to keep consistency in those things. But in terms of how we target and reach out to guests, that might differ store to store.
Okay. Can you think of something that was a challenge that you had to work through um, in the escape room industry that maybe somebody with your specific background around marketing or being a game master or whatever wouldn't have suspected or have the skills to kind of overcome that? Do you have anything that you've run up against?
I'm trying to think of how it would relate specifically to my experience as a game master. I think just one of the hardest things with marketing is what we mentioned earlier, that it's not a repeatable experience. So, how do you target people who have played all your rooms? I do think, though, that actually my experience having played all the rooms myself and still, being very connected to and loving Breakout and also knowing a lot of people who have played all of our games personally, just and that helps me think about what do they still care about? How can Breakout still be something fun for them, even though they might have played all our games?
Yeah, I see that as a common challenge. The what happens when you get to the end, right?
Mhm.
Once you've played all the experiences, or maybe you've traveled to a bunch of different locations. How do you guys plan to keep addressing that? Is it through just continued outreach and marketing, building new rooms? It seems like there has to be a limit to, obviously space wise, you're at a limit to how many new rooms you can generate over a specific time without also alienating people who have never played those other games, right? I imagine that there's a large portion of your local communities that haven't played your games just because maybe they don't play escape rooms. So getting rid of, something that's been a fan favorite and, to address people who have played all of them already might not be a great solution. So how do you address this problem?
Yeah, it is tough because to get a new room in, you always have to either expand the space that you have or you're closing an old game. So for our room replacements, we try to focus on the ones that weren't as popular. And we'll usually do kind of a final marketing push of this room's closing. It's your last chance to play it. Come play it for a discount, that kind of thing. But we would really try not to close the ones that are the most popular at any store, or we'll try to look at how can we expand the space that we have. Some stores have multiple buildings. It's pretty crazy what we try to do to try to keep adding new things. In terms of just keeping things fresh, brand partnerships have been big for us. We have a partnership with Hasbro. So we have Clue, the official escape room, as well as Monopoly, Get Out of Jail. And those are fun ways that we've engaged definitely some new people who wouldn't maybe have considered playing an escape room before, but who love Clue or they love Monopoly. It's a way for them to see their favorite board game come to life. So that's been really fun. And then if they do have fun playing Clue and Monopoly, they might try to play some of our other games as well. So those kinds of brand partnerships have been really successful for us as well.
So it's interesting. I think Clue is a great example of something that I've been thinking about for a while, which is uh, Clue. Every time you play that game, it's different, right? Every time you play it, one person is the murderer. There's a different weapon. There's a different location. So have you guys considered having the same framework for a room, but different playthrough experiences in the same kind of room?
Yeah, we have thought about how to do that. I think it's a really big undertaking, but if it can be done well, it'd be really, really cool. Right now, our Clue room does have the same solution just because that's how we set it up. But I think that that would be something really neat to think about for the future. I think any type of experience like an escape room, just thinking of new ways that people can experience something that they love is great.
I hear this a lot from escape room owners is like, if once you play the game, or all the games, then it becomes a challenge. So I think you guys have taken some really unique methods to keep top of mind for players, especially players who are repeat kind of customers. But I think the solving this problem of replayability over time is something that just keeps coming up and again in conversations that I have. Do you see any sort of, I guess, trends in the overall community that maybe are helping to shape how you're thinking about building new rooms?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of different brand partnerships. Again, I think figuring out ways for people to experience something that they love in a new way via an escape room is really fun. Like there was even a Cheetos themed escape room that I saw pop up this year, which is great. I mean, that's fun and exciting. I've seen some places do limited time like pop-up escape rooms so that they could refresh that out. I know I've seen some do seasonal escape rooms, like holiday themed ones that are only there for a certain time. So it just depends on the experience. But yeah, doing bigger partnerships, not only with the room itself, but also sometimes big creators promoting a certain room. I've seen that work well. So yeah, just always trying to think of ways to refresh old experiences into something new.
There's an escape room that was here locally that I was so excited about because it was like a Super Mario Brothers kind of a theme. I
So cool.
don't know if it was officially licensed, but
Mhm.
it was in that theme. And as you can probably tell, I like Super Mario Brothers. But I agree with you, like tapping into that either nostalgia or something like that can be a big draw for some people, especially if they're kind of on the fence about escape rooms in general or whatever it might get them over the line. Are you guys in your rooms using a lot of tech or like I guess digital type things? What I guess how high end are your rooms that you have right now?
Yeah, that's definitely something that's evolved over time. Our more classic rooms are all just very lock and key and prop structured. And some people still really like that. We found like kidnapping today, like 10 years later, is still one of our best selling rooms, which is kind of amazing. But our newer rooms, especially Clue and Monopoly, are very high tech. There's not a lot of physical locks. Everything's magnetized and things just open out of nowhere, and it's pretty cool. So that's definitely how we've evolved over time. But I think that having a mix of different high tech and low tech rooms kind of helps because some people actually prefer a more simplistic experience. And one of our new rooms, we actually, because kidnapping's so successful, we made a sequel, Kidnapping 2, Afraid of the Dark. It takes place the first several minutes, depending on how long it takes you to find a light source, are completely in the dark. But that room is pretty simple tech wise, but people still have a really great time. That's another one of our best selling rooms. So we kind of try to, yeah, just have a mix of how high and low tech the rooms are.
No, I think it's a great idea. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
differing abilities especially will help, be able to understand or even different ages interacting with some
Yeah.
technology just becomes a little foreign. Do you find that the maintenance is different between those two kinds of rooms? Obviously, if you have a room that's lock and key and a lock or a key breaks or something, you can replace that because it's manual. But tech ones require a little bit more of a builder or something to come in and kind of address some of those challenges.
Yeah, yeah, that's something too that we've just had to adapt to. I think a lot of us are learning as we go. Our internal teams have gotten more advanced as we move through these different advancements with technology. So we have our support team who's available to help, even from afar with some of the more high tech rooms, they can go and do things. But we also try to train people on the ground level, especially for some of our older rooms. But actually, going back to an earlier point, a trend I thought of as we were talking about kidnapping too, because you're asking about trends and the industry is playing with different senses or depriving
Mm,
them of certain senses, like starting in the dark. I've seen a lot of like puzzles that are it's not just visual, it's like sound related puzzles, smell related puzzles. I've seen all kinds of ways to mess with people's senses, which that is really interesting. So I think just making rooms even more immersive by engaging all of the senses is going to be an interesting trend to see how people do that.
yeah, I think I have definitely seen, as you said, like a trend of more and more immersive experiences, more of like
Mhm.
you either are transported as part of your like getting to the room type situation. There's a room locally that kind of puts you in a train situation and they have some things moving as you're
Mhm.
sitting, hearing rules, all that kind of stuff, and you're then moved into the room. So I think there's some more immersive things that are evolving. I really like seeing those different experiences. When do you have a team that is really in charge of concepting and building, or is it just like anybody who's got a great idea sort of bubbles it up to the leadership and they can kind of roll with it?
Yeah, our brand presidents are definitely the driving force behind new room concepts. They do a fantastic job. Again, they've been with Breakout since the beginning, so they're really grounded in what our guests actually like. I know that whenever they build a new room, they start with like what would be fun? Like what would be a really fun thing to happen in a room? And they kind of just think, okay, how can we make that happen? How can we make that weave itself into a puzzle? So they really start with fun. But I know that they're they're great about getting feedback and they really try to listen to all types of ideas as they're building rooms.
We're coming up to time here pretty quickly, but because you're sort of overseeing brand and everything, I wanted to touch on your website. So you guys, from what I saw, you have basically one website and each one of the locations sort of have a sub directory or something like that on the site. Does that mean you guys are in sort of control of the whole web experience from a leadership perspective, or does every location have their own experience?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. We have our core site and then each store veers off from that. So again, we want to make the experience of one store's website to another as consistent as we can. So that's how we do our website.
And do you find challenges with individual locations wanting a little more freedom in that way, or I guess from a leadership perspective, it's better to have that standard experience where you've listed all your rooms or booking in the exact same way, so that when people travel and maybe hit different rooms, it's all that same experience.
Yeah, I don't think stores have really asked for a lot of customization on the website. We are able to show different things. Like we might have a banner at the top of the site for a certain location that has a new room. And we're able to customize our room icons to show that something's new or coming soon, things like that. So I think really the only differences we try to play up are sometimes if a location has a new room.
And so do each one of the sites benefit from the promotions that you're running across the brand? Like, are you mostly like advertising or promoting the main site and then they can just narrow down based on the location, or are specific rooms really pushing specific initiatives?
Yeah, I think for the most part, yeah, it's pretty things are pretty much brand wide, especially the big discounts that we do that would apply at every store. Occasionally we'll have some kind of local promotion that's just at that store. For our advertising for different rooms, we try to target that to where that room is at. So every ad for Clue is going to show up at the locations that have that. And we would try to exclude the ones that don't have it because it's not relevant to that market. So that's how we try to make things relevant to the people that are seeing our ads.
And are you using, like, on your social media channels, like you said, it's sort of like centralized to your one account. Are you using your website to also do some of that, I guess, interest building things like
Mhm.
little puzzles or other things like that? Do you also use your website for that?
Yeah, we haven't really put a lot, at least not recently, of puzzles and things on the website. I guess how we've tried to do it is have things external and then that pushes people to the website so that they can book there, but not a lot of like attention grabbing just on the website.
Okay, so that it's really the website is your destination for driving bookings and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we
Functional
try to make it
aspects.
simple because once people are on our website, usually they're interested in making a booking and we don't want to like overcomplicate that for them. Just have that easy. We do have FAQs and a blog that I think can kind of help people if they're on the fence of like, I kind of want to play a game, but I have a lot of questions and we try to answer those up front. But we do want our website to be pretty easy for them to navigate to make a booking.
And so is the goal from a search perspective, like people are coming to the website, hopefully already drilled down into their location based on where they are, or are they
Mhm.
really hitting that top level brand and navigating themselves?
Yeah, I think for the most part, people are looking for local attractions near them, things to do near me, things to do with kids near me. Like we try to advertise for those keywords. And that's why we work a lot with like local influencers who are in things to do in this city kind of thing so that we pop up for that.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, like I said, I really appreciate you taking the time today to share your expertise. You have clearly not only walked the walk of being a game master, but you've put a lot of what you've learned into practice and have developed a great brand strategy for the entire organization to be successful. And I think that's super amazing that you've put in all that effort already. Where can people find you guys? Where can people book games? What can they look to see from you right now?
Yeah, thanks so much. It was awesome talking to you today. For Breakout, our website is breakoutgames.com. Pretty easy to find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Just search for Breakout Games. We'll be there.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks again, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.